Hey everyone, this is a basic movement guide for Elytra and MacePvP. First thing we're going to go over is the basic wind charge jump with Elytra. So there are a few types of ways you can jump with a wind charge, but the way to get maximum height is you're going to want to jump, activate Elytra, and then while you're at this bottom point in the ground, do you see how you flick back up? While you're at that bottom point, you're going to want to look straight down, and then throw a wind charge and flick back up. And if you do that properly, you'll get the maximum amount of height that you can from one wind charge. Just like so. This is pretty important for flying around and maintaining speed and height. Important thing to remember is you want to make sure your Elytra is always activated when you are doing this. An important thing that you can also do is chain them together. So once you get height from one of them, if you're able to time your wind charge well, which is right before you hit the ground, you can get more height from the second one, and so on and so forth, and then eventually you can get a bunch of height. But you might notice that your opponent is higher than you much quicker, and that's because they're using a technique called an ender catch, or a pearl catch. And this is a pretty simple technique that looks really complicated. So all you're going to do is take your ender pearl, look straight up, throw your ender pearl, and then switch to your wind charge. And you've done an ender catch. Super easy, super simple. Looks a lot more complicated than it is, but you just look straight up, throw an ender pearl, throw a wind charge. You can even hold right click. Super simple. This can be chained together with both the Elytra jump and just a regular wind charge jump, but it is relatively inconsistent when you do it with Elytra because you have momentum. And as you play more and more MacePvP, you'll get a feel for when or when it won't land. It's hard to explain exactly when or when it will not land, but generally speaking, if you do not have much forward momentum or any momentum in a direction, your pearl will land. So if you do this, it's probably gonna land. But if you do this, it might not land. See? And it's really dependent on momentum, and just practicing this a bunch is incredibly important. And oftentimes it'll be easier on servers than in a single player world. Don't ask exactly why, it's really complicated, but sometimes it'll be easier. On PvP Club it's not super hard, and it's relatively consistent. But those are the two basic movement techniques for MacePvP, and everything else is not super important. You can do diagonal ender catches, which are very hard, but useful in some scenarios. I can do them sometimes. Like that. You can do those. Those are not super important. I would not recommend learning it. It's just generally not super valuable. Regular wind charges and wind charge jumps are also very good. And then there's a few specific wind charge techniques that you can do to get some faster movement on the ground, but they're also not super important. But if you want to learn how to do them, you basically just time your wind charge and the angle that you're looking at so that you get different types of momentum. So, for example, I'm looking down and forward, so I'm going to get more forward momentum after this wind charge. And then you can chain that and get a much higher bounce with your Elytra, or Elytra wind charge. And yeah, that's basically every movement technique that you'll need to know for MacePvP. I would recommend practicing all of these. Once you get consistent at them, they're super, super, super useful, and they are the basis of what you do in Elytra and MacePvP. Thank you for watching.